that's when you will see the evenness. Like sometimes I feel when we meet some people, so immediately we'll ask, आप कहाँ से हो, ये है वो है, वो बोलेगा वो मैं दिल्ली से हूँ, मैं भी दिल्ली से हूँ, मैं कितना मज़ा आता है, लगता है, ओ माय गॉड, वो भूल जाते हैं कि भाई अगर कोई साउथ से भी आया होगा तो उसमें आत्मा तो वही है. हम लोग इंटेलेक्ट के थ्रू सी हम से डिविजन करके भेज जाते हैं वो एक, and then we become very narrow minded. My people are the best people. And so that's what it is, that how you have to know that whole picture, and then you will understand.
But tell me, intellect is the deciding factor, mind is the fluctuating factor, right? So though ego exists in the intellect, but yet it is needed.
In the beginning, yes, they say, that's why they always say that in the end you have to drop the intellect also. So you come to a point, and then you have to drop.
First the mind, because samatvam, to keep it samatvam, the mind, and then the intellect, I guess, does it go away when you realize the intellect also doesn't? Is that the same? I mean, I'm trying to think.
Okay, I think I understand a little bit your question. See, the intellect will be still there as an equipment, but it is a turned off equipment. What our problem is, intellect is on all the time. We don't know how to turn. जैसे बोलते हैं कोई किचन में हम लोग मिक्सी यूज करते हैं, लेडीज, राइट? तो वो मिक्सी बोले चालू ही रहे 24 घंटे, दिमाग खराब हो जाएगा. When you need it, you use and shut it up.
But it isn't I thought it was always the mind, because mind is always running, always.
Well, mind is a more dangerous, because mind is has emotions, and it is like collecting data. It's at the lower level, true. Intellect, but that's why you see, बुद्धि जो है ना वो विज्ञानवान होनी चाहिए, like we are doing because intellect is such a powerful thing. If you start believing in something wrong, intellect can become your enemy.
Right, but that's why they say that, mind is the one where all the perceiving organs take their stuff. Intellect is the one which decides.
Right, but the decision, if your intellect is corrupted, you will make the wrong decision. See what I'm trying to say?
For that time, it'll be wrong.
Yes.
Till you get better knowledge.
Yes.
Then your knowledge comes in.
Yes.
Then you improve upon it or make a correction to it. And that's true. Yeah, I know what you're saying, that you have to go beyond mind and intellect.
Right, eventually you have to go, but जो आप जो यात्रा बोल रहे हो ना, वो इधर से शुरू होएगी कि पहले हम लोग बहुत इमोशंस में रहते हैं, ये वो होते थे. No, that's not the right way to handle. Become it, and then intellect को constantly हम लोग purify करेंगे फिर, so that we have a better vision, correct vision. That's why we do the satsang, that's why we read. फिर पुरानी धारणाएं हम छोड़ेंगे, we will pick up the new ones. All that is a process of sadhana. So it is and that's why we are intellect में अगर काम, क्रोध, लोभ, मोह ये सब भरा हुआ है, तो हम continuously गलत decision लेंगे. There are a lot of people who are very intellectual on one hand from the worldly perspective, but they are very dusht people. Like all these dictators. They were very intelligent because they knew how to manipulate people and all that. But they had so much dirt in there, and they didn't see the samatha. Hitler was, I don't know, I was not around when Hitler was there, but I've heard from other people he was very charismatic when he would speak and all that. That's why people got so swayed by him. But he was opposite of this samadarshan. Think about it. He said कि बस एक ही तरह के लोग बेस्ट है, बाकी सबको मार ही डालो. So that's, this whole topic is like, it's a subtle subject, so there are many aspects to it. So the aspect you are bringing in, yes, intellect is important, but a purified intellect is most valuable, because otherwise you will make wrong decisions, and in the end even that has to be transcended. And so that's the path. Yeah. And this chitta vritti nirodha means that transcending. Sorry, boliye.
And that's where the knowledge comes in. You purify your intellect only through knowledge.
Yes, only through knowledge, because and then there is one verse that is going to come in Bhagavad Gita where Krishna Bhagwan will say that I am memory and I am vismriti also. Vismriti matlab bhul jana. Because जब हम लोग नया नॉलेज गेन करते हैं ना तो पुराने को भूलना पड़ता है.
Yes.
Yeah. So वो विस्मृति भी मैं ही हूँ. Because there's a whole system कि okay, you gain the new knowledge, जो भी wrong knowledge है. For a very simple example, like in the West, one time they thought that the earth was flat. They could have never reached the moon if they continued thinking that way, but then with the science, new knowledge came in and they had gave up that. There may be still some fools who may be sitting in some corner and thinking the earth is still flat. But then they're not going to progress in their life then. So that true, what all of you are saying is true, but it has a different place in, different areas.
Such an individual who has conquered his mind and has come to live in perfect equanimity in all conditions of life, in all its relationships, Krishna vehemently asserts he indeed rests in Brahman. This may look rather illogical at the first reading, and therefore, as an explanation in a parenthetical clause, Krishna gives his reasons for such a daring assertion. He says, since Brahman is even and ever perfect.
So he's just telling you that what this verse is saying, that the person who has conquered the mind and has come to live in that equanimity, he rests in Brahman. And then he adds that because Brahman is even and perfect, इसमें कोई दोष नहीं है. So that's why the person who, he's telling you the relationship, how it happens. Science थोड़ा दे रहा है इसमें directly.
Brahman is homogeneous and all-pervading. Everything happens in it, and yet nothing happens to it. Thus the truth remains changeless and ever the same, just as the riverbed remains ever motionless, although the units of water flowing in it are ever changing. It is a quality of the substratum to remain changeless. All manifestations and superimpositions by their very nature must change. An individual in his identifications with his body and so on becomes a changing factor, a victim of every passing disturbance, but the substratum, the self, ever remains the same.
So he's giving you a very good reason why you should be established in that Brahman, because if it's like something like this, roller coaster. I'm sure that in this group also, none of us want to sit in it, right? Because I don't know how young people enjoy that, getting prosecuted by sitting on it. I don't know. So here is a roller coaster. If I sit in it, then I'm going to go up and down. But if I just stand outside and watch, I can enjoy other people and it's motion. But I'm not going to. That's how little bit it's like that. Okay, both the things are there. Prakriti is also there. Brahman is also there. Who you want to identify with. If you identify with Prakriti, then you're going to be like that boat going up and down in the water constantly. But hey, I don't want to be in the boat. I'm going to sit at the shore and enjoy watching the boat. That's what they're trying to tell.
An individual who has discovered for himself a sufficient amount of tranquility in which nothing can dare disturb him anymore is certainly one who has plumbed the depths and touched the bottom. A reed on the waves will be tossed up and down by the waves, but a lighthouse built upon firm rocks always remains upright and changeless, allowing even the storming waves to exhaust their anger at its feet. Krishna's argument is thus logically sound when he declares that a mortal among us who can maintain his equanimity under all conditions as explained in the foregoing stanzas is indeed one who has contacted the divine and the eternal in himself. He indeed rests in Brahman.
See how beautiful example he gave. Yes. Absolutely. So I think I was just thinking, we have in our class also, we have been together for so long now. We have seen, different things happen in, to different people. And sometimes if we can remember this kind of knowledge when we are having, not such a great time in our life or some difficulty in our life, that's when I think is most useful. That to remind ourselves, this is a changing thing, and all of us are that substratum, so we don't need to get upset and all that. Otherwise, we study all this. When the time comes, if we don't remember this knowledge, then again it's like no use. So more and more, and I think satsang, this when Swamiji said that the lighthouse doesn't move and is changeless, it's like we learn to become that lighthouse slowly by doing satsang. That's what it is. Or when he said that the one who is one who remembers that everything else is just superimposition upon that substratum, and just be in that substratum, like the river bed, and all the changes are happening above it. Even just remembering a little bit of it, I think, gives us a lot of peace. Even through this pandemic and all that, if you forget that, then लगता है कि the whole world is kind of falling down or something. Oh God, where is the end to it? But the moment you remember, it's a passing thing, it is going to go away, all of a sudden we feel a little peaceful, That's the practical side of it, to becoming this, what they're talking about.
And I think this example of lighthouse built on firm rocks represent the knowledge.
Yes.
If you are what you know, you are firm believer in it, and it is the true knowledge,
right,
then nothing can waver you.
Right. And that's exactly what they talked about in Bhagavad Gita, that, no sorrow will touch you. At the core of you. Nobody's saying that it's not going to touch us in a day. We are still in body, we still have emotions, we will be upset, we will be all that, but we will not get, हम लोग उसमें बह नहीं जाएंगे. We will keep that equanimity, And you must have seen, in all our lives we see when people face tragedies, some of them can handle it so much better than the others. Tragedy to same ही है, मगर the reason is because they are more established in this knowledge. That's why.
And that's where they say, this too shall pass.
This too shall pass. That's a very good one. Very good line to remember. Gives a lot of peace. And if you think about the river का पानी कभी भी same नहीं होता. It's a continuous flow. नया आता रहता है, ऐसा दिखता है कि वो सेम नदी है, बट पानी कभी भी सेम नहीं होता. खाली उसका बेड जो रॉक है वही सेम है.
Because Brahman, the self is homogeneous and without blemishes, therefore.
Yeah, he's going to talk about. Yeah, he's talking about how he faces the world. The lakshan of Sthita Prajna basically is coming again over here. Next verse, we will do it next time. Any other question, comment, or somebody wants to add something? Okay, I'll close Bhagavad Gita. सर्वधर्मान् परित्यज्य मामेकं शरणं व्रज अहं त्वा सर्वपापेभ्यः मोक्षयिष्यामि मा शुचः. हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः. हरि ओम. ओम सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहैः. ओम शांति शांति शांतिः. हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः. Hari Om. So we finished verse 8 of Valli 3. He was talking about in verse 8, but he who is intelligent, ever pure, and with the mind control, verily reaches that goal from where none is born again. See, birth and death, it uske chakkar se chhoot jata. And he was talking about, if your sarathi of your ratha, which is this body, is your purified intellect, and that's like represent Lord Krishna, that then you will reach the goal. That was the last one that we did. We're gonna same thing he's gonna talk about कि कौन से वो परम पद को प्राप्त हो जाएगा, what is that and all that little bit. So that's what is verse 9. I'm gonna chant. विज्ञान सारथिर्यस्तु मन प्रग्रवानरः सोध्वन परमाप्नोति तद्विष्णु परमं पदम्.